the first askeza is to have a power in your body and in your mind. Because if you're screaming at your husband or your boyfriend or your kids, or if you feel you're negative and in your head you're thinking, oh, people don't like me, or they don't understand me, or you feel lethargic, or you don't have power, or you feel scared, you cannot let go of a job that you don't like, or if your relationship with kids or parents or someone not working, that means you're lacking power in your body and in your mind. So the askeza for your body and your mind, the most effective askeza, number one, and this you can write it down because you will forget, ladies, is being in the nature. Nature gives us power. But I see people on the beach, what they're typically doing? They're drinking and laying down and getting a tan. Well, at the most, you're going to get a beautiful tan. Yes. You're going to relax. You're going to maybe even forget about what's happening in your life for a few minutes or an hour. But the power of nature is not entering your body. How the nature enters your body is by you walking, running, or swimming in the lake, river, pool. You gotta connect to the nature. And then another thing, I see people walking around park, music, boom, boom, bam, bam, boom, boom, bam. No, this is how that nature gonna enter your body or your mind. You're hearing the birds singing, the creek running, the leaves are moving, you're connecting to the blue sky, and you have an attitude. You're not thinking, oh, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna have again problems with my husband or my boyfriend or my kids. No, you actually put the chin up, your body is straight, and if you can, just as you're walking, think about positive thoughts. If you cannot think of positive thoughts, then consciously you're walking and you're saying, I wish everyone happiness. By the way, this is the easiest askeza. Easiest. There's a lot of difficult, very difficult askezas. This is the easiest one. You're just walking in the nature. And as you're doing the walking or running on a daily basis, the best way to do this askeza is in the morning before the sun is already up in the sky, or in the evening. If you're dealing with anxiety, if you're dealing with panic attack, a lot of intrusive thoughts, the best time is on the moonrise. After 6 p.m., after 7 p.m. If you are lethargic, no energy, no power, in the morning. Ideally before 8 a.m. The earlier, the better. Because sun has a masculine energy. And it gives you confidence, it gives you happiness, and it gives you power. And that's when you want to do it. But if you don't have all the time, do it whenever. It's better to start at some point. But ideally in the morning or in the evening. The second askeza is routine of the day. So once you start feeling that you have hardly ever negative thoughts, your husband or boyfriend is not triggering you, kids are not triggering you, that means that's only then you're ready for a different askeza, second askeza, adding that into your life. It's called the routine of the day. Because for example, when you go to sleep, from 10 p.m. to midnight, your physical body is resting. If you go to bed at midnight, that means physical body is never resting. Because you're watching TV series or news or whatever else that you're doing. Body is resting from 10 p.m. to midnight. From midnight to 2 a.m. is your emotions, your emotional body, psychological mind is resting. And from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., your subconscious mind is resting. So this is the critical time for people to sleep so you can rest. Going to bed has to happen by 10 p.m., okay? Now, the prayer is 1,000 times more powerful. The mantra, the prayer, the affirmation, 1,000 times more powerful in the morning. Before 6 a.m., Vedas are explaining, sun is selfless. That's when you fully connect 100% to God. Before 6 a.m. After 6 a.m., you're connecting, but it will be with every hour, less and less and less connection. Okay? But if you're just starting, Even if you do it at 9 a.m., at 10 a.m., it's okay. We're not doing it perfectly, but we want to know the knowledge when it's right. If you want to do the gym or exercise, by the way, gym is not ideal for women. It's good for men. But it's what?
Thank God.
Because again, it's a masculine energy doing workouts. It's good for men. They're overcoming their body and themselves. But for a woman, ideally, she wants to do askeza of exercise in the nature. But if you love gym, it's okay. Go to the gym. But then afterwards, do the 10-15 minutes walk outside so the nature can enter your body. In the morning, so ideally, between 4 to 6 a.m., it's the time for God. But for modern people who are working, it's difficult. So it's okay doing it by 8 a.m. or any time at this point when you're starting. And in the morning is a great time to study, to go to work if you have to go to work. But the evenings, after 5-6 p.m., it's time to connect to relatives and have meaningful conversation. It's not the time for TV or news, because that goes to your subconscious mind, and those intrusive thoughts are not allowing you to rest and sleep. But most of the time people are watching news and drama and action movies, and then with these thoughts they go to bed. Totally improper. But again, we want to start at least putting little steps towards doing the routine. All right, so also people are cranky.
Alisa,
yes.
I had a question in the chat.
Yep.
Can you repeat what you said happens during sleep? 12 a.m. to 2 a.m.?
Yeah.
2 a.m. to 4 a.m.?
Yeah, from 10 to 12 a.m. when you rest, your physical body rests. From midnight to 2 a.m., your emotional body rests. And from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., that's when your subconscious mind is resting. So if you're missing one of those, your body is not resting. And most of us, let's be honest, when you wake up, sometimes you feel tired, aren't you? And this is because you are not going to bed on time. If you went to bed at 11:30, hour and a half, you're already missing that your physical body is not resting. And if you go after 12:30, you're now not just physical body is not resting, your mind, emotional part of your body is not resting. You will wake up tired. We're also moody, cranky, stressed, is because we're lacking energy of earth. Most of us, obviously in the modern society, we wear shoes. And wearing shoes, we're disconnected from earth. And so ideally, if you want to walk barefoot on the sand, in the field, on the grass, at least 20-30 minutes a day, you get grounded. We're anxious and stressed because we're constantly running and doing this and doing that. And so earth makes us grounded and relax. Air gives us focus and concentration. So air, again, people I see go and study in Starbucks for exams or tests in school. They're so stressed and overwhelmed, and even in the library. It's an illusion that they're focusing. What gives us focus and concentration is air. So you run for 30 minutes in the park or in the nature, and then you sit, ideally, somewhere next to the creek or the oak tree, and you start studying. You will study everything 10 times faster because air gives us the concentration and focus. Water. If you cannot stand angry people, bad weather, cold weather, you cannot stand your wife, you cannot stand your relative, cannot stand toxic people, shy people, masculine, feminine, this and that kind of people, that means you're lacking the energy of water. Even if you take bubble bath for 30 minutes and you soak yourself, it's going to help you. But ideally, askeza is for swimming. If you're swimming in a lake, if you're swimming in the river, if you're swimming in the pool, you're going to start feeling this concrete patience for this person that you cannot stand. That's a very powerful askeza. Main thing what I would like for you to get, all of the askezas in the nature, they have to be in the movement. If you have for example, serious chronic pains, you cannot move, then you can do it in a bubble bath and you can just do feet and wrists like that, right? Or if you're very depressed. But ideally, you need to move, whether you're on the earth, running or walking, in the river, swimming, but it's not still. Stillness only works if you're standing against trees. And if you're standing against trees, the trunk of the tree has to be bigger than you. By the way, each one of us actually have inner tree, and you know which tree is calling you. For example, I know my tree is oak. And so as you're passing by and you see the certain trees calling you, most likely it's your tree, but you gotta find the trunk of the tree has to be bigger than you. And you can stand, either hug the tree or stand against it, and you're gonna start even feeling the coolness of the tree entering your body. Extraordinary and very soothing and very relaxing experience. By the way, when you stand next to the tree, if we're talking about psychoanalysis, you actually go inside of your mother's womb and you're starting to give yourself that love that you were lacking because maybe mom was working, maybe mom was stressed or she was dealing with something, and you're giving yourself a really deep connection of love. I want to go over askeza. In Russian it's благочестие, and in English it's dignity. How for a woman, this is for a woman askeza, how to get a dignity for herself. Because if a woman is attracting to herself or not attracting to herself anybody, it's because she has low dignity. It could be part of her karma because she's done harm in the previous lives to men or women, and now she's single, or if she's now attracting, she's attracting wrong man. So how to get dignity is not to allow, and get married is not to allow a man too close to her. So for example, a guy starting to give you flowers and calling you and texting you, the moment you let the guy too close, you lost him. You gotta keep the distance. A woman with, so the dignity and the askeza for this, for a woman, if she's too kind of sitting and laying down, she's like, well, my prince gonna find me when the time is right, and she's fantasizing. She's like, I just gonna meditate, and someday, one day he will find me, and she's kind of dreaming how he should be, what her last name would be, and her dress would look like this. That means she's far off. She's not in the center of her dignity. If she gets too close, she goes too up front. That's why a woman in the first 5-6 months should not even have sexual intimacy at all with a man. She needs to get to know him. She gotta, answer the phone calls, go on a date, but she has to be very distant. Appreciate him, but distant. That means she's in the center of her dignity. Also, how she pushes men away and her dignity is out of center, is going up, is when she's desperate. When she's desperate and she's like, oh, this guy, I like him. Oh no, this one. Oh no, this one. And she's pretty much like, okay, anybody, who will marry me? Who will take me out? This is completely out of her center, okay? So we discussed either she's dreaming far off, or that she's too close, or she's desperate to get on anyone. This is the mistakes that women make, and it's gonna prevent her to get married. A woman has to look at men from two ways. Either it's a ripe fruit, and a ripe fruit is someone who is, it's not chasing. How would be this old English word? When a man opens the door.
Chivalry?
Yes. When a woman's dignity is centered, she allows that chivalry of a man. That's a ripe man who is calling her, checking on her, taking her out, and he is a ready king who is ready to get married, and he has a light on his forehead. I like you, and I'm gonna marry you because I like you. This is a ripe fruit. This is the type of man that a woman should get married. Not the ripe fruit is the one who is like looking around and will sleep with woman this and sleeps with her and will try to get in bed with a woman fast and doesn't do the chivalry. And the reason why a woman attracts even a man like that is because, again, her dignity is out of line. She's not doing askezas. And we're going to talk about the askeza going back, serving the community. This is the main askeza, helping and serving people, the community. Because she's all so centered and is like, where's my prince? Where I'm going to find him? God not going to send you a man. And by the way, marriage, when God gives you a husband or a wife, that comes from God. Looking for a boyfriend and sleeping, it's you doing. But a husband, a God sends. And the problem with our modern society is when people are married, they always again think, I have a bad husband or I have a bad wife. And with this attitude, you rebel against God because you are not passing the exam. And the reason why you're not passing the exam of your life is because you're lacking the energy. You don't have power. And you don't have power because you're not doing askeza. And how women, by the way, get motivated to do askezas is through other women, through sound, learning, older, who is not older age-wise, but wisdom and kindness, and lectures, but mainly with women. If a husband tells a woman, go to the gym or go to the river, go swim, do you think woman will do that? No way. Or you come home and you say, oh, next time you should go to listen to Alisa, to the lecture. Do you think a man will do it? No. You should actually be quiet. And if a husband asks you, so how did the lecture go? You can say, oh, next time you should check it out. And he might be interested to do it. But if you try to change him, the resistance is going to be 1,000%. It never works with a woman. But with a woman, it's a different. Let's say you call a girlfriend and say, let's go to lecture. Let's start doing askezas. Let's start swimming in the river. Or let's start doing something together. This is the fastest way a woman gets motivated. She needs other women. Woman gets nature inside and she starts relaxing and she wants to do it more because she's starting to get better and through other women. And obviously sound of someone wiser and older who is telling the truth. Istina. The truth, the knowledge. I feel like I'm giving you guys lecture and you're like, okay, I know it. Of course you know it, because everything Vedas are teaching you, it's in your soul. Yeah, there's nothing new in it. Yeah. And it's a 5,000 years knowledge, but there's nothing new to it. It's not like a science. Well, and this is why you're in this space, Kine. Ask a question. It's like, well, I want this in my life. What askeza I'm going to do? Because so far right now I've covered only 3 askezas and we're going to cover probably 5 more. Okay. Because there's hundreds of askezas, but I'm going to go over the most important ones. So, but as I'm sharing, you got to kind of know, okay, I don't have a lot of negative thoughts. I am doing good. What I'm lacking is this or that, and you're starting to connect which askeza you need. But right now, again, I covered only 2 or 3 askezas. And now I'm going to go into other askezas. And you got to listen to your gut. Which askeza do you think you got to do? Because you really don't need someone to give you the details. For example, if you're really in a negative space right now in life where you hate someone or you dislike someone, the basic askeza is what you need, is walking or running in the nature. Or doing the affirmations, I wish everyone happiness, which we're going to do together on the second part. And these are the 2 simplest askezas. The more advanced you're going to be, the more advanced askeza you're going to do. For example, askeza, to love your government, to appreciate your president, your culture, and to always be loyal, even in your thoughts to your husband or your wife, is the most difficult askeza. You shouldn't start with it, obviously. Right? And so I am giving you right now simple askezas, but then I'm going to give you more and more difficult ones. But sometimes people are like, sure, I will start with the difficult one. Yeah, try to love your president, the politics, and the government the way it is. It's very hard. That's a very advanced askeza. But until a person actually gets to the point of loving their government, trusting their government, their leader, meaning their president, their culture, they will never fully feel the power that they are connecting to the society, and they can give back to the society the most. Because they are not respecting the leaders, nobody gonna respect them the way they wanna be. Because this is askeza to older, wise people who wants to be gurus and teachers, right? And until they achieve that, they will always be kind of here, but never there, because they're judging. Because who makes a president president? It's an illusion that it's people. It's his good deeds from the previous lives. But what he's doing wrong, oh, he's gonna come down in the next life. But it's not for us to judge. But this is a very advanced askeza, and we cannot start with it. Make sense?
Especially for some nations?
Especially for, yeah, because we're right now in a war, right? Especially right now, Russia and Ukraine, it's a real topic. We cannot discuss this because the emotions and feelings are so strong. Yeah, it's a real thing. And until person will be able to overcome those feelings, it's going to be all about, oh, he is wrong or that is wrong. But there's much deeper meaning to it.
Alisa, quick question.
Yes?
Askeza in Russian, is that намерение, желание, or
Askeza.
So there's not a meaning?
Well, it is how you're translating it, right? It says askeza.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking to translate.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. But also we gotta understand that if we do askeza for ourselves, for example, I'm doing askeza right now, leading this program. If I'm not doing it for God, and if I'm doing it for myself, then my pride will grow. But if I'm doing it for God, then I'm achieving something much meaningful, what I'm standing for. Make sense?
Yeah, so, I think you answered the question. It is намерение.
But behind askeza, there's also kind of a sacrifice. For example, I stop eating meat. I'm doing that again. It's askeza. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing that to deepen my relationship to God. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Behind the askeza, there's always some kind of a sacrifice, that you're doing it not for yourself. You're growing spiritually. Again, if we're doing it for ourselves, our pride will grow. But our relationship to God doesn't get deepened. We're not overcoming the destiny. And our destiny, if this is our soul, is around our soul. And destiny is always presses against soul, and it brings us hardship. And we are not powerful enough to overcome these hardships. And for different people, the hardships are different. For some, it's a cheating husband or wife. For others, they are constantly broke financially. For others, it's a toxic parents or partners. For others, it's something else. But this is the part of the destiny that presses on the soul, and the person suffers. And askeza gives different power. For example, the routine of the day gives the person to be effective and have a life that flows, where they're effective. They woke up, they did this, they woke up, they go to bed on time, they wake up rested. It brings them easier life. When the person swims in the river, let's say, or pool, no matter how toxic their parent, they have patience for them. They can stand them now. Or they live in Alaska, they hate cold weather, and now they can stand the cold weather. So different askeza helps us to overcome the destiny. The destiny is presses really hard, and we feel like we're stuck. We cannot overcome this. And we cannot overcome this because we're just lacking the power.
question about when you really need to do askeza, or when you just need to, like for example, this example about Alaska. Maybe it's better just to move to Georgia or Florida than do askeza in Alaska.
Yeah, obviously for people who have a way to move from Alaska to Georgia is great. But most of us, we're stuck with our parents, right? We cannot just get rid of them, right? And if we want to make a better relationship with them, we got to do askeza. For example, Vedas are even explaining, if the person cannot control and screaming and yelling, they will never be fully connected to their consciousness. They are not a conscious person. If a person cannot just sleep with their husband and wife, they're never going to be considered a conscious person. If the person is lying, they will always be attracting liars who will cheat them. If you cannot learn to forgive even your enemies, you will never be fully a conscious person. We're not even talking about relatives, friends, and husband and wife. We're talking even about even enemies. And of course, everybody is struggling in one or another. But our goal is to grow. Because otherwise, we're pretending that we're human beings, conscious human beings. But we're not that much better than cats and dogs. Because God gave us consciousness. And we have to learn and expand and be the best version of ourselves. And for human beings, it's very difficult to do. But these are, again, very difficult askezas. Woman cannot grow spiritually. For her alone to grow spiritually, it's very hard. Woman grows spiritually in environment with other women. And that's why these meetings are very important, because we had to have more people. And for me to get them to even commit, it took something. But a woman, again, gets inspired if someone tells her, but come. It's okay. You can overcome this. Women inspire each other and gravitate towards each other, because our consciousness is much higher than, by the way, than men's. Because when we're born, even though hierarchy, men are here and women are here, but our consciousness naturally is higher. We're closer to God. But if we're not doing the work, we also degrade faster. For example, everything that you hear today, you're going to leave feeling, I'm going to do askeza, or I'm going to do mantra, I'm going to do affirmation, and it's going to last you for 3 days. You like air balloon. You went up, and then 3-4 days later, you have no one to pray with, or meditate, or do mantra, or askeza. You're like, men, on the other hand, they're very hard to motivate. Their rational mind is like, what? Yeah, I agree with this. Yes, I agree. But he needs to hear more and more on himself, because he's choosing. And then as a plane, he starts to slowly take off. But once men take off, they're here. It's going to be harder to land also. It will take, because he will run as a plane. So that's how we're different. And that's why a man and a woman need each other. A woman can inspire a man to go up. And that's her, by the way, main duty. To work on herself and inspire her man. To quit drinking, to become a provider and protector, to be loyal, and etc. Woman is responsible for happiness and peace in the marriage. This is her responsibility. A man's responsibility, of course, also to be kind and gentle to her, because mainly men are selfish and egocentric and tough, but they need to learn how to become gentle and kind. But their main job, their main duty, is to provide and to protect. And we want them sometimes overall right away to change and be like this. You're like, you have an idea like that. And it takes them a long time. And the change only starts with yourself. As you're changing, your man will reflect. He will mirror you. And he'll be very grateful. But a woman is also responsible, in a way, for her man's legacy, because each man in the background has a legacy. And either she's in the way for him to achieve this legacy, or she empowers him. But as a human beings, we want all of this love and happiness from our husbands and our wife. And that's how we're bankrupt. A husband and a wife is just people. They're not capable of giving us this much love and this much happiness. That's why askezas is important. That's why affirmations or prayer or mantra is very important. Because without it, you're just like, give it all to me. Give it. I so depend on you, give me happiness. But it's impossible, my friends.
Earlier you were talking about serving others, and I just wanted, and maybe this just means that I need to do more nature time before I start serving others, but like serving others makes me feel good, but it also like drains me. And where's the line between
Very good. First, before you can even serve people, because serving people is a more difficult askeza. If you feel you're getting drained, the nature is still lacking in your body, in your mind and body. And we're going to talk in the second half about mantra and affirmations and prayer. Once you're going to do mantra and prayer, you're going to start feeling whole, and you feel like, you feel power from nature, you feel power from mantra, then you can give. But otherwise, you go to somewhere and you feel depleted, because we as a human beings running either on 0 or maybe plus 10%. That is gone by 10 a.m. We go to work by 10 a.m. we're already, where's donut to eat or pizza to something, and then let me get something to drink as soon as I finish work. Because we're depleted, we're running on empty. And once we do the askeza and we do the mantra, we feel whole, and then we can start serving. The serving comes from the wholeness. But of course, also, if you're that depressed, still, if you start serving, you are disconnecting from yourself, and that's important. Because if you're too concentrated, oh, for me, this is not working, I don't have husband, I have a terrible husband, or my kids don't listen, or I have toxic parents, or this and that, you're too concentrating, you're still going downhill. And as soon as you're like, oh, this person has a cancer, oh, this is a single mom with 4 kids, and this person just came from Ukraine, they have nowhere else to live or work, and they have 3 kids. And as you're concentrating on other people, you're starting to stop thinking about yourself, and you poor little things. And that's what makes God happy. You take care of his kids, he starts taking care of you. You see, people most of the time, and this, please correct me, Vedas are explaining, most of the people in different religions just talking to God. Talking to God is good, but it's not going to conquer the destiny that is around our soul. Conquering the destiny is happening through askeza and the mantra that I will show you how exactly to do after the break. Because talking to God, you're connecting to God. That's wonderful. God loves it. But the goal, if you go through hardship, you want to get married, right? Or you want to overcome the toxic relationship or something, you need to work on your destiny. And doing the destiny, you got to do repetitive thing over and over and over and over again. And I will explain how. Meditation, by the way, is completely different. That is a 3-hour lecture that I can do next time. I'm not going to go over it. But I'll do mantra and a prayer. Meditation, the ways to do it correct, most of the people, 99% people, don't know how to do the meditation correctly. Even the way they're sitting is incorrectly. How the body has to be fully relaxed, but the mind is starting to connect. When I talk to people, how do you do meditation? Music, guided someone. It's not a meditation, by the way. It's a relaxation, but it's not a meditation. The real meditation is very, very hard, and it takes time to practice. But that's a different advanced lecture that we'll go maybe next time. Today I want to go over the basic things. And if you do talk to God before you do the mantra or affirmation to conquer your destiny, if you're not crying while you're talking to God and you go through hardship, that means you're doing it with your head. And God wants us to connect with the heart. Before I do any mantra in the morning, I talk soul to soul, connecting to God. If not every day, every other day I cry. That's a real connection to God. Otherwise, it's intellectual. I know it's a deep topic, right? But if you have any questions about this, ask me. Otherwise, we're going to go on a break. And after 15 minutes, we'll continue and we'll go over the mantras and more askezas.